It's science.
All right, we're here with the Starving Podcast. It's your host, Justin Romer. Jordan, how we doing, buddy?
We're doing all right. Live and in charge from Prague, as always.
Yes, that's great. So we have a special guest today. This guy, man, he's got just a warm voice. I can't wait for you guys to hear this man's voice. His name is Lawrence Ballenger. I'm calling him Ballenger because this guy is a baller. He's an IFBB pro. He is a bodybuilding sponsored athlete. He is absolutely jacked, the most jacked guy we've had on a podcast to date. Sorry, Saxon Panchik, but this guy's he's just ripped. He's shredded. He's huge, and he's ready to talk today with the Starving Podcast about so many different things. Lawrence, my man, what's up?
Nothing much. What about you guys?
You know, we're
Same
just
old.
hanging out, man, on this Sunday. We're looking forward to talking to you today about a lot of different stuff.
I'm super happy to be on the podcast. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Hear that voice, guys? Hear that voice? Such a warm voice, man. Uh,
I practice all
glad to
my
have you
hugs.
on. Oh, man.
right.
So, yeah, Jordan, go
Yeah.
ahead. Take it away, my friend.
So, Lawrence, we ask all of our clients, all of our friends, what's the biggest mistake people make when they're deciding to start a diet?
I think the biggest mistake people make when they're trying to start a diet is either looking at it like it's a diet, and a diet is short term. So once you achieve your short term goal, there's nothing that actually continues you continues you to actually push forward. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. Look at it more as a lifestyle change, and that this diet is helping you get to that lifestyle change.
I like that.
Dude, I love that actually. Yeah. We with our intrinsic diet, we try to get people in sort of a relationship with food where they don't really have to track anything. They know and understand their portion sizes based off of just viewing with their eyes, right? Like they know what a 3 ounce chicken breast looks like and things like that. Um, and so we resonate with that like completely. And that the word diet has sort of a negative connotation behind it. And when people put themselves on a diet, um, you know, psychologically, it's already put them in a position to possibly fail, which is why almost 80% of people that actually, do a diet, they actually end up yo-yoing back to their prior body weight or even higher. Um, so yeah, that's a great answer, man.
Yeah, most people have fucked up
Science.
relationships with inside their personal life, so they're only gonna have a fucked up
Science.
relationship when it comes to food. So get your priorities straight. Realize that this is a long-term thing and put some value into it, just like you would put value into a person.
Right?
It's a
No,
great way to look at
absolutely.
it, really. And
Oh yeah, Sunday morning, so I probably cuss a little bit more than normal.
it's all right. We're on God's day. He forgives it. He forgives us all. We're all saved. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
he just says say whatever you
Science.
want to and come true from the heart. That's what matters.
Just
Be real.
amen. So Lawrence, we know that you're a big keto guy, so would you go into that a little bit and then maybe tell us, is that a diet you give to some of your clients? Is this something like you're that guy wearing the keto t-shirt, or tell us how you found it and if you enjoy it, or I mean, I've seen some of your YouTube videos where you're like demolishing 10 cheeseburgers at a time, and I might have to switch
Oh
over.
yeah, so my keto is definitely different than the average person. I'll just give you a quick background. So I was introduced to ketogenic diet from Sean Wells, who is a registered dietitian and now he's a chief science officer for BioTrust, and Dr. Jacob Wilson. He runs ASPE, which is like a cool training facility for some of the top NFL athletes, baseball, football. It's kind of like an IMG, but more scientific. And they were really big into ketogenic dieting, and they had some studies and some tests that they wanted to do. And since I was huge in fitness and I still travel quite a bit. It's hard for me to like keep up my diet. And he's like, "How about you try this? You can still get yoked. You can eat cheeseburgers and bacon." And I was like, "Wait, I can eat cheeseburgers and bacon and get yoked and get even bigger and stronger?" I'm in. So he helped educate me. And then after I started doing some research, and helping participate in these studies, it became more of a lifestyle, just by convenience more than by the willingness to do it. And then I've got really intrigued. So I started working more with Dr. Jacob and some of the advisory board of some of the few companies I worked with.
Yeah, man. So that's super interesting, like your lifestyle and incorporating like keto and things like that. Now you've modified away from it and you found what sort of works best for you. Um,
Yes.
our sort of approach, I mean, I like the keto diet for a number of reasons. One, it's not as restrictive as some other diets. So, like, if you think of like a vegan or vegetarian based diet, right? They can't eat any meat. You know what I mean? And meat
Right.
has a lot of really great micronutrients in it. B12 and heme iron and things that are need to transport oxygenated blood. And then if you look on the complete other turn, like a carnivore diet, right? They can't have any fruits and vegetables. And if you're not having any fruits and vegetables, you're not getting any vitamin E, you're not getting any vitamin C, and these are obviously extremely important for a lot of DNA repair and things like that in regards to the metabolism. So in the keto diet, actually, it is a lot of fat, right? And it does
Right.
yeah, it puts people inherently on carbohydrate restriction, but you can still have vegetables on a keto diet and stay in ketosis, which is like great because you can get meat from your protein. As long as you're not eating too much meat, you can stay in ketosis. You're
Mhm.
getting all your fats, obviously, and then you can also still take in, vegetables with low glycemic index. So this gets in a lot. You don't have to supplement with a lot of things like you do when you're talking about a carnivore diet or a vegan diet. So I sort of like this approach. Um, so you
Oh, I
sort of
was just
went
about
in
to
a
say,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I keep cutting you off. I'm being a douchebag. It's your interview, not mine.
No, dude, we're interviewing you, man. You got the secret sauce.
My sauce is a little bit different though. Like ketogenic is fun and I think it's great for the average person. But if you're working out, I think your ketogenic is going to be slightly different. I think you're going to be more underneath a cyclical keto diet where you're still incorporating carbs um, in your diet just because your body needs a little bit of that glucose to keep a pump. And you just have to find your limits. Like for me personally, I know I'm a huge outlier on how many carbs I can have. I have no clue why my genetics allow me to do it, but I do it anyway. So I do like blood tests for my ketogenic. I do a little prick, test it, and I can see where I'm at. And I can stay usually in ketosis with a good workout every day with 200 to 250 grams of carbs easy. Unless it's a leg day, then I can go up to 300 and still stay in. And I can do that 3 to 5 days a week.
Yeah, yeah, I know
But
why
I
you
don't
could take
recommend
it.
that for most people. Let me put that out there. Do not recommend
Yeah,
that for 99% of people.
all the carbs, you mean?
Yeah, all the carbs.
I think you could.
So I go a little bit high.
Right, right. And I think you can get all those carbs in because you're black, basically.
Mostly, I feel like there's like a perk to being big and fat. It's not
Yeah,
driving, but it's ketogenic dieting.
right, right. I think just in general, African Americans they have a lot of type two muscle fibers, and these type two muscle fibers, um, these fast twitch muscle fibers are they allow the metabolism of carbohydrates, very efficient carbohydrate metabolism. Um, So I would say that that's probably one reason you're able to take in so many carbs and actually cycle in and out of ketosis when you want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's really an intensity of your workouts as well. I think if you train heavy weights with the low rest periods and you're keeping your intensity as high as possible during that duration of your hour and a half, most people only work out like in their workouts, they probably do 100, 150 reps in 8 hours time. So under tension, they're only under tension of the weight for probably a minute and a half. So I try to make my workouts if I'm working out for an hour and a half, that my time under tension or my time underneath the weight is about half the time. So it's 30 minutes of pressure, which most
Right,
people can't physically handle. It either makes you vomit or pass out.
right. Yeah. So your time under tension's elevated. You're training a bit more than the average in regards to volume, and therefore you need those carbs. So that
Yeah,
makes
well, just don't
total
train like a
sense.
bitch. That's the main thing.
Yeah, got to train hard, dude. That's it.
Well, it's also training
It's not that
smart
hard.
too.
Just try. People don't try anymore. They expect results in life.
It's true. Yeah, this is and this is something we talk to a lot of clients about. And it's on the coaching side, we want to get people to adhere as best as possible, but there also needs to be discipline on the other side. You know what I mean? If it's a discipline issue,
Hmm.
it's very difficult to try to find that middle ground with people. And I see a lot of coaches nowadays, like nutrition coaches, are like, yeah, you had a glass of wine. Yeah, that's okay. Like no,
Like, no,
like
that's not okay. You theft.
no, it's not. It's not a good thing to. Well, it's like if you have one and you're trying to lose weight and you have a certain amount of goals, right? And you have like this glass of wine, you bounce back and you train hard for the whole week. You know what I'm saying? You get back on it. That's fine. But like for nutrition coaches to promote that wine is okay no, no, like it's not
No.
okay to do that. Like when you're under when you're trying to improve your relationship with food and you're working with a coach, you want to make the most of that experience and you want to get the most out of it. And to really understand how your human physiology is working, right? You have to omit
Hmm.
foods and, refined carbohydrates, alcohol, and some other things. And when you take an approach with someone um, that allows that a couple of times a week, that's not really gonna help the client or the athlete.
No, most of these things that they're teaching you, and most coaches are teaching their clients, are to actually have them on a reoccurring "I need your help, I can never live without you" basis. No one teaches you how to sustain yourself once you reach your goal. And that's what I don't like about most coaches. They don't give a fuck about you if you're not paying them. Like, you don't care about me enough to actually teach me what to do and how to maintain it, so I don't need you all the time. And
Right.
that's what I like to teach people. And then I like to be real. You're not going to get fit drinking all the time. Yeah, I drink. I'll be real with you, but you got to be honest with yourself, knowing that it's going to hinder yourself in the future. It's not. It's like saying, "Oh, I'm going to be rich, but I'm not going to save today. I'll save a little bit now, and I'll spend my savings in 2 weeks, and I'll double it up afterwards." Life just doesn't work like that. You get in what
Right.
you put out.
Absolutely, man. That makes sense. Um, so yeah, that pretty much covers a lot of the keto stuff that we wanted to go over you. So basically, to recap, you want to have more carbohydrates and not follow a strict keto diet if you're training really hard. And that's
Hmm.
because if you're trying to promote anaerobic metabolism and you're trying to gain muscle. Even like there was a big client of mine. I've worked with her for almost a year now. She's an IFBB pro. Her name's Ashley Romiak, and she said in the past that she's done a keto diet for prep, and she just didn't feel as nicely when she went to carb load before she got on stage, and that's
Hmm.
because when you have a certain amount of carbohydrates in your body and you're refueling, those carbs eventually turn into glycogen, right? And
Hmm.
that glycogen is what fills the muscles, and that's what helps bodybuilders feel full and look full uh, on stage and when they're presenting for a particular show. And you think that the keto diet can work for some people that are maybe a little bit more sedentary. They don't need as much carbohydrate. They can fuel a little bit more off of aerobic metabolism, even if they are doing some training, and maybe they can reap the benefits of carbohydrate restriction and weight loss.
Yeah, I'm not saying have carbohydrates throughout the day. It needs to be strategically timed. So, like, I'll have roughly 150 to 200 grams, so the majority of my carbs within an hour before my workout. So it goes straight into my muscles. I pump them up and get a great pump during the exercise. Let's say I'm doing a heavy leg day with a little bit of cardio. Of course, 200 grams of carbs isn't really going to affect me when you're trying to squat 315 for 200 reps and then go on and do another 700 reps of leg exercise. Like, you're going to be fine. But if I'm just an arm day and I'm gonna go out and hang out with the guys at the night and then I go dancing, no, like, oops, just got a text. I gotta tell these chicks to stop hitting me up while I'm doing this. Anyway, my bad. I'm living a bachelor life. It's
Right
okay.
when you
I don't
mention
know
arm
anybody.
day too, it's like a universal thing. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you want your shirt to fit a little extra tight when you're going out, so you get a little extra attention. Sweater. This is sweater season,
Get the
so
extra
you can kind
medium
of show.
going.
Every guy works out for a reason, and it's usually chicks.
Agreed,
That's the
man.
end goal. You
Agreed.
don't go to the gym to wear tanks out for a dude. I can promise you that.
Right.
Well, some people might. No bias, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so this podcast is going awesome so far. The other thing, the other thing that there's a study, and I don't know how familiar you are with CrossFit, but obviously it's a high anaerobic demanding sport, right? And there's a workout
Mm-hmm.
that's called Fran, and it's for time. So basically, for time as fast as possible, you do 21 reps, 15 reps, and 9 reps of pull-ups and thrusters at 95 pounds, 65 for women. And they actually did a study on people that got their Fran time, right? They were presumably taking in a lot more carbohydrates prior to that Fran time, and then they actually went on a keto diet for a particular amount of time in the study, and then they retested the workout. And every single person that did the Fran workout actually, when they repeated, did worse. Besides one person, so maybe that person's fat metabolism can actually run in a way that allows them to maybe their gluconeogenesis pathway is optimal, and better than most, and they can get carbohydrates from the limited amount of protein that they get on a keto diet. There are a lot of different cases. The
Mm-hmm.
point being that everybody's sort of different. Everybody's individualized in their own way. Their human physiology is different. Their psychology is different. Um, so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's super interesting. That depending on not only the type of athlete you are, but maybe even your genetics and some other factors, you can kind of thrive on different types of diets, whether they have carbs or not.
It's pretty interesting. I've
I
been
just
watching
think a
like
lot of people don't know if they're carb sensitive or not. They're doing these ketogenic diets for 4 weeks, 8 weeks. It doesn't mean you're carb sensitive yet. Most people have carbs in their life for so long that that's the only source of fuel their body knows how to actually process properly. So yeah, you're going to have a ketogenic like slush, just tiresome, draining part of you. You're not going to be able to squat or bench press your heaviest amounts, maybe that first month or two, because you're getting adapted to actually burning fat as fuel. Like any
Right.
type of change you make in your body, you're not going to be instant. You're not just going to do 5 sets of 5 or something and all of a sudden be strong. And that's the same way I think I want people to think about ketogenic dieting. You're not going to be fat adaptive and being able to use this as a perfect fuel source right away. Um, Currently, I'm cyclical dieting. I'd have carbs 3 times a week right now, and I'm closer to running, about 70% on fat right now and 30% on carbs. That's pretty much how my blood's processing it. And
Right.
people need to
Right.
kind of find out like the metabolic part. How are you processing your carbs? Are you actually processing your fats? What does your body like right now? And most people are more willing to spend money on clothes and spend money on finding out what's going on with their body. And for me, I just find that crazy because we only get one body. I can go buy clothes tomorrow or any day.
Right. Yeah, it's true. You only have sort of one temple. You have to take care of it. A couple things to your point. So, um, yeah, so metabolism is one thing that a lot of people don't know. And just to give people some insight into this, you can actually go get a VO2 max test. And during that test, they get the gas exchange of basically CO2 going out, oxygen coming in. And they can tell you what your fat metabolism is like versus your carbohydrate metabolism. And this is something that is inordinately helpful for nutrition coaches to determine how you process and what your metabolism is like. The other thing, you said carb sensitive, and this is a big scare that a lot of people have. They say, I'm carb sensitive. I need to be on a low carbohydrate diet. So they do a keto diet, and that's fine. This is the issue with that. And I actually did some studying and reading about this. So there obviously is something called a placebo effect, right? And
Yes.
the placebo effect is basically defined as a physiological response that you're observing, right? Either to a patient or on yourself, um, but there's no active ingredient changing that physiological response, right? So in most cases, they do
Hmm.
placebo studies where they give a patient a pill. It doesn't have any active ingredient in it, and they actually start to get better. Okay. And what's actually been shown is that there is a specific gene um, called COMP-T that is actually helps the expression of dopamine in the prefrontal cortex. So what happens is people with this gene have inherently more dopamine, and our dopamine is our reward system. Okay, you guys following me?
Hmm.
All right. And people with this gene, right? Since they have a bigger reward system, they secrete more dopamine from the prefrontal cortex. They actually are more likely to have to make placebo effects on themselves. So basically, or nocebo effects, which is the reverse of placebo. So what they'll do is they'll say, I'm not feeling good today, or I'm feeling kind of fluffy today. Oh, I had carbs this morning. I'm carb sensitive, right? And they'll
Hmm.
actually start to believe that, but they're actually not carb sensitive, okay? And it's because they may have this COMT gene that allows them basically to express dopamine, which is their reward system, and create a nocebo effect on themselves. So basically, every time they eat carbs, they actually do feel the effects of being carb sensitive, but they're actually not carb sensitive. And that's a dangerous game that you're
So I have
playing
a
with
different name
yourself.
for that. That's called them
Yeah,
being a bitch.
that's right, man. That's
So
basically what it
people
is.
stop having bitch assness in you, and yeah, man up,
Yeah, I
try
mean,
some stuff, do your inner one study, and not be biased. Pretty much what he's saying.
right. Yeah, get yourself into a pattern with something specific, whether that's 6 to 8 weeks of a keto diet. Actually, get into ketosis or train hard and have carbohydrates, and see how this sort of affects. And this is why we do different experiments on the podcast. I just finished a 48-hour fast. It was really
Ooh.
challenging. We'll have a separate podcast about it, but you got to do these experimentations on yourself. You know what I mean, Jordan? What is the diet that you're following or have been following the last 6 to 8 weeks?
I've just been doing the limited carbohydrates around the workout window. So that meal right before the post workout like shake, and then the meal immediately following. So you're looking at maybe carbs within, if the workout's an hour, between 2 hours before and then maybe 2 hours afterwards, depending when I eat. And that's it. And the rest of the time is just food, or maybe slightly elevated fats in the morning because I usually train at night. But other than
Right.
that, yeah,
So you're like cycling carbs around your workout window basically to replenish glycogen and
yeah,
refuel from your workouts or for
yeah.
your workouts.
I just find that I feel a little bit better when I do that rather than like wake up in the morning and say, all right, gotta eat my like 40 grams of carbs or something. I just feel like hell and I can't work. So
Right.
I've been trying
Gotcha.
like this.
That's
Um,
intense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be definitely. But you know, if it's something you adhere well to and it works for you, you got to keep doing that, and you got to start learning how to implement into your lifestyle easily and get
Yeah.
it to where you want to be with your goals.
I think that's where everybody needs to make very clear with themselves what their goals actually are. And it shouldn't be more or less weight. Either make it visually on how you look or something tangible on how strong you are. Because weight is such a weird thing that I think no one should ever actually like try to get their weight. Maybe a size, but not a weight.
Heard. It's definitely like most of my struggles, even with like going up and down on the scale, like it just didn't make sense. I was like, if I'm getting, you know, if I'm getting stronger, the weight doesn't matter because you're throwing up, an extra plate or two on the squat or
Hmm.
another, 2 plates on the deadlift. I'm like, is that 5 pounds really going to kill me if I'm just racking it up? It's like, no, it's not.
But is that 5 pounds muscle? Is it water? Is it fat? Is it visceral fat?
Yeah.
Is it cortisol to make you whole? Like nobody really knows this unless you get DEXA scans and all these other things that most people don't have the money for or just don't have the means to find. So
Right.
it's a lot easier just to look at yourself in the mirror and maybe take some actual measurements of like your size or maybe a body fat percentage with a caliber. Be a little bit easier for most people to digest that information and also accept it in real time to where they're not judging themselves against other people or judging themselves harshly against their goals. So I think
Right.
if you try very hard at something, which I think most people do when they enter a diet or a new workout, and them not seeing the results that they want or as advertised, they just get so hardened down on themselves. They say it's not working. And even though it could be working, just the results are coming out slightly different or they're not analyzing the data correctly
Yeah.
or they're not
Yeah.
looking at the right type of data.
Yeah, we agree with that completely. And we still have a lot of our athletes and clients give us the weight because it is a metric for other people that can't keep the emotion out of the scale. Like if they look at the scale and they see a high number, they're really going to be psychologically affected. We don't have those clients really updating us with weights, but we have every single client take pictures and
That's awesome.
yeah, really define like what their goals are because I've worked with so many people, man. They're like, yeah, I want abs, and it's like, all right,
Hmm.
let's do it. And then we get them abs, but they're not fulfilled. Like they actually
Hmm.
just wanted other people to accept them, and they thought maybe abs was that the pathway they needed to go down to be accepted. But that actually wasn't it at all, So like this was just my point being like you have to really dig deep to know like what your goals are and where you want to be 6 months from now, 1 year from now. Um, and
I had a
if it's
seminar about a week ago, and I
yeah,
think goals can be interpreted in so many different ways that a lot of people couldn't understand what I was talking about. I was leading a discussion. So my normal job, I'm a director of partnership just for another CPG company. But
okay,
goals was a term where everybody kind of got confused. So I changed the metric to what's your definition of success? What is the definition of success for that goal that you're going after? Like, what does success look like for you in any aspect of life? If it's for fitness, what's that definition of success where you're like, I've made it and people are accepting me? And then I think you need to backtrack your goal from there or backtrack how to get to your goal from there. I think that's just the easiest way. What would makes you really happy? Is ketogenic going to make you happy if you lose weight? If you're accepted by the girls, if you're accepted by the guys, and like they're saying, oh, you look yoked now. What's your definition of success? And then you can A/B test it and kind of go from there.
yeah, no, absolutely, man. That really does make a lot of sense. Um,
I don't know if it does. I'm just on my own little tangent right now. I can go on
Yeah,
my own
dude,
tirade and be like,
no,
oops,
no,
my
this
bad.
this is good. This is awesome because, some people are like, what are your goals? And it's such a question. It's just one of those questions that is like, oh, that's easy. I obviously know what my goals are. But then when you put this sort of twist on it, like, what is success? People are gonna sort of inherently think about what is their success. And if they're thinking about their success, maybe they can actually define their goals a bit better. And maybe they'll strive for something that they maybe thought wasn't achievable prior to thinking about it from this sort of a different angle. Um, so I want to also talk a little bit about supplementation. So, what are some of the supplements that you swear by, like things that you take? How simple are you with your supplementation? How aggressive are you with your supplementation? What do you use on a daily basis?
How simple am I with my supplementation?
Yeah, like what do
Um,
you what do you take?
I,
What do you take on a daily basis? Like what do you swear by?
on a daily basis that I have to take with me all the time. I always take creatine, 10 grams every single day. I always have my whey protein, even if it's not a isolate or whatever.
Yeah.
But I prefer whey isolate over everything, just a little bit cleaner, easy for me to digest, a little
Okay.
bit less lactose enzymes, because most African Americans, Black people, whatever you want to call us, uh, we're lactose intolerant, so I
Right.
always have a hard time processing that. I always take enzymes or like a probiotic just because the amount of food that I eat is quite high and substantial that even with veggies, I can use a little bit more. And then a multivitamin, electrolytes are a must if you're on a ketogenic diet,
Yep.
just to make sure you're not dehydrated.
Yep.
And a pre-workout is sometimes I like pump products more often than not, just because I take Adderall, and yeah, that usually gets me going enough. So
Yeah, that'll
it's
work.
50-50 pre-workout.
Yeah, that usually works
That
like a
Adderall will
charm.
work, baby. Let's go.
Oh yeah, it keeps me
That-
going pretty good. I am prescribed, by the way, not doing this illegally yet.
We're
Um,
we're God-fearing children, so it works. Yeah.
well,
Dude,
my thing is nothing's illegal unless you get caught.
Oh,
that's true.
God.
Are you selling any of those, dude?
Well, I'm not gonna put it on record, but I might have a few extra. Just saying.
A triple X rated podcast right now. That's
Oh
what's
my
happening.
gosh. Oh man. Yeah, no, this is a good list of supplements, and I would say that everybody needs to address what the supplements are also based off of their goals, and obviously those supplements make a lot of sense for you and what you're trying to strive to maintain and where you're trying to
There's only
go.
one other thing that I take:
Yeah.
androgynous ketones, BHB salts. I'll take some of those,
Yeah, yeah.
depending on if I'm able to get enough quality fats in my diet that day.
Yeah, so yeah, that all the supplements and stuff, that's super interesting, and that, like we said before, you have to really find out what works best for you, and I'm sure that that's what you have some of your clients and people that are asking for advice. Um,
Hmm.
we've talked a lot today about you know, so much diet stuff and weight loss and keto. And, a lot of this fundamentally goes down to one, health, but then also aesthetics. So I want to look good too. My boy Jordan, he wants to look good. So we know that you're a fashion expert, and we want you to give us Caucasian males a little taste what we need to do as we're slowly transitioning into this dad bod
You're
mode
not
here.
transitioning to a dad bod. There's no such thing as a dad bod. There's there's fluffy. Everybody gets their fluffy time, and it's getting cold now, so everybody's allowed to be a little bit fluffier. We got coats and shit on. Got to stay warm. But if you're getting into like the fashion game and you're not um very like familiar with it, I think the best thing to do is just to make like some key essentials. Find two pairs of jeans, like a dark black pair and a nice like straight pair of blue jeans, and take
Okay.
them over to your dry cleaners. Go get those altered to fit to you. Like, just fits on everything makes such a big difference in how you look. So your pants aren't overly tight, where they look like spandex and you look like you're wearing some Lululemon jeans, but yet that they're not baggy, and you look like an old farmer. So like, go and get your stuff tailored to actually fit your old bumminess. Like, that makes a huge difference. Wearing
Oh
a
man.
shirt that doesn't look like a blouse just because you start working out. You don't have to wear like these skin tight Under Armour compression fitted. Oh my God, got this from Baby Gap looking ass shirt. You can actually wear a shirt that fits. Like, I don't want to see your heartbeat from the back. I don't want to see your nipples as a dude when you're walking down the street. Like, you can have a shirt that fits correctly. And
You're on
even like
fire,
your
dude.
t-shirts. I feel very passionate when I see people looking so homely and bum ass, but you spend all this time on your body to look like trash.
Yeah, dude. No, that
Preach.
makes a lot of sense. I'm on my big shirt game right now. Like I get that shirt that's just like that plain tee that's just like a little bit too big for you. And I kind of rock it uh like that. I mean, I don't get anything too skin. Yeah, people know like cuz I want people to be like, "Man, is that guy swole or not? I can't tell. Like his shirt's kind of big." I want people to guess. So I've been on this kick. I don't know if it's working, but you know, it's
I
easy to
think
get my shirt on.
I think
That's
it's a
all I need.
southern thing too, though, just because it's like we we would never do that in Connecticut. There's like 15 different fashion styles up there, and then never mind what you have over here in Prague. which is just madness.
Yeah, I can imagine that that's
Madness.
just crazy in Prague. All right, man, that's awesome, dude. Thanks for all the fashion tips, for all the advice on keto, carbohydrate loading, and cycling, and then, man, we just talked about so many great things today. So we really appreciate you, having you on the Starving Podcast. Where can people find you? Can you give some of our listeners some info about that?
Yeah, all my stuff is the same. You guys can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Lawrence Ballenger, B as in boy. And then you can also find some of my workout programs. I like to keep them pretty much free so everybody can have free access to information on bodybuilding.com. I have a new program called Keto Muscle on there that's pretty amazing. It actually walks you through the whole process of getting into ketosis, your first workouts, and it's literally dummy proof. So find me on there, shoot me a message, whatever. I'm always available.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm gonna check out this keto muscle because there's so many misconceptions out there about keto. So, thanks again for coming on today, dude. It was awesome.
I really enjoyed myself, and thank you guys for working with me on this.
This is your host, Justin Romero with the Starving Podcast. You can find us at consistencybreedsgrowth.com, consistencybreedsgrowth@gmail.com. You can find us at the_starving_podcast. Please subscribe to this podcast on your preferred listeners app. Jordan, my man.
It's been real. It's been an experience.
You didn't even say anything the whole podcast.
I was absorbing all the information that was flowing, and I just enjoyed it. That's all. I don't need to say much.
Science.